All right, I'm going to record this too so that people who can't be here right now can go watch it, and I'll put it on our YouTube channel. But I'll actually make a note to Okay, so we got a few different things to cover. Welcome to the Student Managed Investment Fund. So I'm going to be broadcasting on this screen, and it's just everything I do on this computer will be on that screen so y'all can see it. And then I have the Zoom recording also, and then it's recording the screen. There's a camera for me, but don't really worry about me on the camera. Just what's on the screen is important. And then I'll post. We have a YouTube channel, so I'll post this recording to our YouTube channel, and then you can go back and watch it if you or whatever. Okay, so my name is Jacob. I'm the director for the Center for Excellence in Finance. There's my awful staff photo. And so the Center for Excellence in Finance is like an overall program that covers a lot of different things, but you're here for the Student Managed Investment Fund. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 2 people on Zoom, so you have like 12-ish people. That's pretty good. And there's a bunch of people who emailed me that said they can't make Fridays at noon, which I get. Like, there is not a time I could meet for this where everyone is available all at the same time, unless we want to do like 3 in the morning. Okay. So a couple things that we want to know about. The SMIF manages real money. And so the University Foundation is the people on campus at Chico State who deal with like the not California dollars. So any money that Chico State has that they can do other than pay staff, faculty, is in the foundation. And they just voted and approved last week that we can actually use the money that we have. We've always had the money, but we have to get their permission to actually buy stocks with it. Because, if we're going to spend it on stocks, they have to approve it. So they said, yep, and they designated me as the person that can actually place the trade. So, and then we have a broker who agreed that they can be the broker for our portfolio. So now we can actually get started. And it's been going on for, 3 years. It's a huge mess to try to get this going. But finally, so we, assuming that nothing absurd happens, we should be able to actually buy and sell stock this semester. So there's nothing else that we're waiting on other than some like regulation type stuff where they have to sign off some paperwork or whatever. Once the brokerage account's open, like I can just log on and hit buy, right? So that's not really an issue. We'd have to wait a couple days for funds to transfer, but for sure this semester it's going to happen. So within the Center for Excellence in Finance, we do a whole bunch of things, but I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom where we have the FinTech Lab. So the FinTech Lab is the room that we're in right now. It's 1106. There's a picture of it. You walked by this thing when you got here. And so it's called the FinTech Lab. FinTech is finance and technology combined. So one of the cool things that we have, the most expensive thing in this room, is these computers are Bloomberg terminals. And that's a really high-end software that I'm hoping I can show you a little bit about. But right now it's on an update on software update because I haven't actually turned on the computer in a long time, like this specific computer. Ashley's sitting at this computer right here, and she said it's not updating. She's able to use it just fine. So it happens to be the one computer that's plugged into this TV is the one that needs to update. So hopefully it'll get done real quick and I can show you some stuff. But we have the Bloomberg terminals, and then we have the Student Managed Investment Fund, which is that. So within the fund, we're going to split off into teams based on kind of really what you want to be focused on, because we need to evaluate potential stocks that we could buy or sell or fund mutual funds. We're allowed to buy, well, we're allowed to sell options. We can do covered calls, but we can't trade like day trade option contracts. And technically, yeah, we're allowed to buy bonds too, but nobody likes those. So I don't know that we'll do that. But the foundation is really interesting because like the last few months I've been meeting with all these like big foundation people, and they want to like lift the restrictions so that we can do more stuff. But then some of the administrative people on campus are not on board with that. So we'll see where it goes. But for sure we can trade stocks and bonds and mutual funds and ETFs and stuff. And then if we needed to, we could do covered calls, which is where you would sell a call so that you could make some income off of it. And then if things don't go your way, you sell the stock. And if things do go your way, you get to keep the stock. It's a little more complex than we need to get into today. But those are the different things that we can do. And the process is once, let's say like one of you says, hey, I really want to buy Microsoft shares or VeriSign, because I'm seeing this, we have this ticker thing going and I can see all these stocks. You want to buy VeriSign, which is at 190 a share right now. You say, okay, I want to buy that. Let's buy 50 shares of it. You all would come in and make a proposal, say, hey, we should buy this and here's why, and essentially give a presentation to all of us saying, here's why I think we should buy it. And then we'll like counter you with, what about this? What about that? And, you know, maybe we can pick apart your argument, or maybe not. Maybe you're really like, you're totally on top of it and nobody can think of any reason not to. Then once we settle that, we vote, and then we vote yes, then we can go buy it. If we vote no, then we say, well, good try, let's move on and we'll do another one. Right? So we have $25,000 right now. Once we are managing that and like don't immediately crash and burn, I'm expecting the university to add a lot more money to that. But it's the very first time Chico State's ever done this, right? There's been a couple times in the past where some clubs have put money together and done investments and stuff, and some of the fraternities, but they weren't really allowed to do that, and it wasn't Chico State money; it was their own money, right? So this is the first time that Chico State's actually like doing it as a university. Okay, so if you want to be involved, there's like 4 groupings, but each of these can be its own like group of groups. So there could be lots of people within portfolio team, or there could be one person. Like we can kind of make it, we're pretty flexible with a lot of this. So we need somebody to manage the portfolio overall, right? To say, okay, well, if we're going to have Microsoft shares and Google shares and Netflix shares and Meta, Facebook shares, and what, you know, and we look at that and we say, that's all tech, right? That's not really like a good portfolio. Like, okay, maybe some of those stocks are pretty good, but if something happens to the tech industry, that could hurt our portfolio like unusually bad. Whereas like if we had a little bit of diversification, we have a little bit of like construction companies, we have some tech, we have some retailers, we have some whatever else, right? We could have a lot of different diversification there. Then our portfolio might be a little more stable, more secure. Our overall target here is to try to beat the S&P 500. So last semester, the same group of people, a lot of you were in that group, got together and said, okay, well, we need a benchmark. Benchmark means what are we comparing our portfolio to? How do we know if we're good or not? We're going to compare it to the S&P 500. So right now, the S&P is doing awful. Well, today it's up, but you know, over the last few months, it's been terrible. So if the market's crashing and we just manage to stay even, we're winning, right? That's the idea. So, but if the market goes up 10%, we want to try to go up. Well, there's a way to measure that, and this is what the portfolio team's job is. We want to go either beat the S&P in terms of higher returns, or really it's a risk reward trade-off, right? It's okay to not make as much as the S&P if we're way less risky, way less volatile. Say we're a much safer investment and we made almost as much as the S&P. A lot of people will be on board with that, right? So we'll get into the details of that. All of you are going to learn a ton about all of these different things as we progress. But right now, I'm not going to, like, it's too much to try to teach you everything. Then the macro team is going to be more like external factors. So what's going on in macro econ world, what's going on internationally that might affect the company, right? If we own, I don't know, Home Depot stock, they're mostly associated with the United States, but they might have Canadian and Mexico locations. I don't know if they're any other continents or anything. But then maybe we have Microsoft, which absolutely exists in like every country in the world, right? And so we say, well, they have a huge footprint in Asia, and then Asia has its own like, economic issues going on. Maybe even though Microsoft does well in the United States, overall their stock price is going to go down because they have so much exposure to these other negative things, right? Macro team's going to look at that. What are interest rates looking like? What are exchange rates looking like? Are we about to hit a recession? Probably, right? That might be something that we care about. A lot of the companies we look at might be, hey, they're going to go down because the whole market's going to go down, but who's going to go down the slowest? Right? That might be a question that we try to figure out too. So what can we be in that doesn't go down? Or what can we be in that maybe goes up just a little bit while everyone else crashes? Would be really cool. The equity team is going to be specifically researching stocks, right? So the difference here is portfolio team looks at all the different stocks we own and how they perform together as a portfolio. Equity team is like, hey, let's pick this stock and pitch it to the group, right? And there's a bunch of different ways to evaluate whether a stock would be a good buy or not, or should we sell it? Also, you can come in, like, let's say we already own a stock, you can come and give a pitch why you think we should sell it. That's totally valid too. Like, hey, we've had this for a long time, we've made a bunch of money, let's get out of it now because like we did everything we wanted to do. That's a good pitch. Or we own this stock and we haven't made anything and it's awful, we should probably sell it and cut our losses. That might be a more common pitch, but we'll see. And then the last one is completely separate from all the others. And that's the algorithmic team. And that's more of, if you're interested in coding I'm going to call it like a bot, like a computer program that goes in and finds investments to buy and sell based on a bunch of stuff. Mostly technicals is what technical analysis is what like robot type traders would use. But then a lot of other pieces too. And we're going to code that using Python. And there's a couple of brokers that allow us to place trades that way. That's just getting started, right? So last semester, there was just a couple of students that got on board to do that. And we have kind of a basic outline, but we need a lot more involved to build that out. And we can't actually use it for real money just yet. We have to like back test it and make sure it works. Fake money first, and then once we have it like up and running, then we can try to implement it. We'd have to get a different broker than the one that we use for our main portfolio. So that's the idea. So those are the different groups. Does anybody have any questions about any of those? Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to be yet. We'll make it work. A lot of coding and the things that I've done in coding are going and finding someone else who's already written it and then copy and pasting. So like you don't have to be like, oh yeah, I can just write all this from scratch off the top of my head. That's okay. We can. But you'll probably end up learning a lot anyway. Yeah. Okay. So and then I see a couple people on Zoom, so you two can both like unmute and ask questions, or you can post in the chat. I got the chat up too if I need to see it.
Are we limited to being in one group or the other, or could we? I don't know if you mentioned that already.
I did not mention that, but no, you do not. You can there we go. You can be in multiple groups if you want. Like if you're like, hey, I want to pitch some stocks, but really I care more about like the overall portfolio. I want to be in both of those. That's fine. If you're in the equity team and you're like, I also like coding, want to do Python. It doesn't matter. I'm not super strict. I'm outlining it this way because these are the three for the portfolio. The three key areas that we need to make sure we cover. Like I don't want us to buy a stock having ignored the portfolio aspect or having ignored the macro aspect, right? I want to make sure we have somebody who chimes in and says, hey, listen, all of the things you said are right, but you completely forgot about this thing. And that's my area, right? I know a lot about this thing, and I'm telling you it's not a good idea because you ignored whatever XYZ happening over here. Right? So yeah, you can be in multiple things. That's totally fine. Okay, I wrote down some notes of things I want to make sure I get. So intro, good. I introduced myself. We went over the SMIF website. Perfect. We have a Discord channel. So you all are probably here because you got my email, which I linked to the Discord. But you can join the Discord, and then there's for the equity people, there's all these different sectors of the economy. And so if we're trying to balance against the S&P 500, that's our benchmark. The S&P, here's the S&P 500 right here on Yahoo. If we go to components is not available. Fresh. Why is it not available? I don't know why it's not available. Okay, sectors of the S&P. Okay, so the S&P 500 has 11 sectors, I think it is. 11 sectors. So these are all the different ones. So if we want to compare ourselves, our performance to the S&P 500, it's probably a good idea for us to be kind of similar to it and then try to beat it in just a couple little areas, right? So we don't have to try to just knock it out of the park with one choice. It's going to be really hard for us to say, let's buy this one stock and nothing else and beat the S&P, right? It's way more risky. So what we can do is say, let's buy a bunch of different things, almost like the S&P, but just one or two or three key areas we know are just tweaked a little bit better so that we either are less risky or higher returns, right? So if you wanted to say, I'm on this equity team, which means I'm trying to pitch individual stocks, and I can join a group on our Discord here for like the healthcare sector. So Sam Bagna from last semester said he was going to be on the healthcare sector, and then nobody else joined him. So he's the only one there. But you could, if you like, healthcare is just not super exciting for a lot of people. But tech was more exciting, I think, whatever that is, communications or one of them. I don't know, but information technology. There you go. So a lot more conversation on the information technology section, right? So anyway, or you can just post in here, and like we can communicate with each other and say, hey, my group of equity people who's researching the consumer staples stock, and we're going to give a stock pitch next week. Let's all meet on Tuesday and like go over our pitch. Make sure we know what we're doing. We did all the research and stuff. So like I scheduled this meeting for Friday at noon because that's when I'm available. I can meet with you all, but if you're going to be working on your own project to pitch to the full group, you all might want to meet some other time, and that's totally fine too. And if you want me to be there, I'll try to be there whenever I can, but I also teach work full time, so we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we got a Discord. There's a bot group on there too, all the different sectors, and then this is just resources for pitching stocks. So there's some links on there. So investment banking, yeah. So Corporate Finance Institute's really good. So this is their how to create a pitch. I'll do some workshops with you all as a group on how to like build this stuff. And if Bloomberg stops updating, I'll be able to show you they have a ton. So this is super high-end software. I'll go more in detail on it in a minute, but they have a ton of resources that you can pull from that's like already done for you. You don't have to do a lot of that work. Okay. So then there's some other stuff on there, how to put together a PowerPoint, the earnings calendar. So you can see like maybe if you're going to pitch a stock and it turns out they're announcing earnings next week, we might want to wait unless we for some reason think their earnings are going to be really good. Because a lot of volatility happens around earnings, especially if a company like says, oh, it turns out not as good, or they say we had really good earnings, but next year is going to suck. You're going to have good earnings, think the stock's going to go up, but it's actually going to go down because everybody's like, oh, well, the stock's not going to do good next year. I do want to go around and introduce ourselves too, so it's not just me talking all the time. Already out of breath. So just some background. I want to know like your name. I know a lot of your names, but I want you to tell me your name just so I can make sure and so everybody else knows. And then if you have any experience trading would be really good too. Like it doesn't have to, you absolutely do not have to have experience trading to be here. And then your major, because just in case people here aren't finance majors. And I think that's pretty good. So my name's Jacob. I have a lot of experience trading. So I used to trade stocks for clients in high school. Turns out I'm not licensed to do that. And then I got a license in college, and then I traded options for a while. Then I started a fund managing commodities. Did that for a long time. So I traded futures contracts. Then I became a financial planner and managed retirement accounts. So I've done that for a long time too. That's all of my like trading background. I could tell you a lot of stories of making tons of money and blowing it all within the same week. And that's really it. And then I was a finance major and a math major in undergrad. And then I got an MBA. And that's it. So we'll just kind of go around. Yeah, I'm not expecting you all to be like, yeah, I have these clients or whatever. No, I'm just, yeah. I just, if you've ever like bought a stock at all. Yeah. Awesome. Lauren, you can go. Oh, it's not? Okay. That's all right. I mean, boring investments for mostly like you have a retirement account and you just own. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. No worries. Trading like regular stocks that we've all heard of, or like penny stocks, or SPY. Okay, the mutual or the ETF for the S&P 500. Huh? Yeah. Okay. What brokerage do you use for forex? Wanda. Okay, cool. Yeah. I did that a long time ago. That was in the commodities days, but Wanda has decent pricing on their spreads. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So forex, just for everybody, forex is shorthand for foreign exchange. So it's currencies like trading the yen to the dollar or the pound to the euro or whatever. Yeah, super cool. Matt. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Like, I think a lot of college students are like, if you're not day trading penny stocks and options, you're not doing it right. But ETFs is fine. Like my retirement account is all ETFs and then Apple stock. That's the only individual stock. But yeah, that's totally fine to do that. Cool. Okay. Options on stocks. Yep. In like a regular taxable brokerage account kind of thing. Nice. And then have you made any money doing that? Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have lost a lot of money trading options. Yeah, that's super cool. Awesome. There's a lot of volatility in options because an option contract is representative of a stock that's associated with it. You can have options on other things, but stock options. So an option will be based on what the price of the stock is, but with a lot of leverage associated. So if the stock goes up 1 cent, the options contract could go up $1, and vice versa, right? So if you're trading options and the stock's going up $10, or down, or worse is stock's going down $10, your option could go down 400% in a day, right? It's not unusual to see 100% movements on options, which is why the university is fighting about whether or not we should be allowed to trade options. It's fun. Cool. Back there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You made $4 grand on it? Awesome. That's great. Wingstop. Okay. That's great, man. That's awesome. So you said you traded currencies too.
Yeah, Forex. And
Yeah, absolutely. Because like it's a 24-hour market, so like the
Yeah.
prices are moving at 2 in the morning.
I wake up, I'm like, all right.
Mhm.
As a
Yep. Yeah. Eh.
but
Yeah,
I learned a lot.
absolutely. So okay, I was just gonna ask you because I asked Ricardo too what broker. So you use the Wanda. I used the
Yeah.
Wanda for a little bit, and then we switched to interactive brokers. But when we had clients for ours, it's a 24-hour market. Like all the people that worked in the company took it in shifts to be up all night. So if you were on that schedule, you have to be awake when they're making announcements and stuff.
That's
Yeah, it depends on what currency you're in. So if you're in the pound or euro,
I found trading like in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Just like that's
The worst time is when you're doing it. Oh, awesome.
but I don't like a Wanda.
Hmm.
And they used to have the US.
I don't know. Yeah.
You think so? Yeah. Yeah. I never looked through that.
USD 30.
Yeah, US 30, US. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like a spot.
If is it 30 meaning 30 stocks? Maybe it's the Dow Jones. Oh, so in the commodities like futures world, there's like E-minis, which is like a cheaper contract on. Well, normally you'd have the E-mini S&P, but you could have a Dow Jones mini. So then it would be like a super levered version of the Dow Jones. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I've never traded that. Okay, awesome. Wanna come right here?
So, right, trading for like
Yeah. I'm gonna put these guys over here too, so you can see that there's actually some people.
funny because I heard about bricks today. First time I hear
Yeah, we'll talk about a lot of different asset classes too. So stocks, bonds, options, futures, forex, those are kind of the big ones. Crypto is, depending on who you talk to, it could be its own or it could be part of currencies. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to learn it right now, but so I try to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay, let's go. I know you two, but I just realized I'm like ignoring the Zoom people. So I want to give Zach and Isidro a chance too. Zach, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? My name's Zach. I'm 21, senior here at Chico. I've been interested in trading in the stock market pretty much ever since I could. I made my first Robinhood account the day I turned 18. Got tired of that pretty quick, and I've switched to a Charles Schwab brokerage account and a Thinkorswim on TD Ameritrade. I've been trading a lot of stocks, a bit of options more recently, and yeah, it's a good hobby. I've really enjoyed to do it since I've been 18.
Awesome. My very first account was Thinkorswim, but it was in 2007, I think, when they were called Invest Tools. Then they got bought by Thinkorswim, and then got bought by TD Ameritrade. So that was the very first brokerage account I ever opened.
Now they've been bought by Charles Schwab as well. TD Ameritrade.
Yeah. So now I don't know. There's a lot of consolidation going on. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's go here now too.
I don't have, but I do have license.
Uh-huh. So you did machine learning coding. Is that similar to like neural networks? Is it different? Okay.
Yeah.
Something I want to try out with our bot thing is to do the machine learning, like to like back test, but look at previous markets, determine a potential investment strategy based on past performance, and then apply that to what's coming up next, right? And so using machine learning to try to do that. Huh?
I don't like and then one of the like whether this is
Okay. That's super cool. For like computer viruses, like malware type stuff.
Oh, so that is I did the research like that of the market department.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like I like data science, and then you can talk data, and then you have two graph level, one predicted and then one actual.
Sure. Okay.
So, yeah.
Like a training mode first, and then apply it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have the next Wednesday from 1.
Next Wednesday from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go check it out. In the BMU. Okay, I'm gonna go look at your research. Okay, Isidro's on there too, so I'm gonna give you a chance if you're there.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Isidro. I've been trading for 3 years on and off. I was in the group last semester, but I had to kind of wind it down for a bit because I was too busy with work. Let's see, I currently trade my girlfriend's account, but you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that from me. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Nice. Yeah. Gotta go get that FINRA license now.
But I really don't trade as much as I did something like that. But the time that I have, but the highlight of my career was for investing in
Nice. GameStop. All right. Yeah. Was that during the like Reddit? All that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Try to do it.
That's awesome. Oh, sorry. No, okay. I felt the sneeze coming on. As soon as I like make a big scene about it, it goes away. Okay, cool. So we did introductions. That's good. I'm gonna move this off there now, and let's see if Bloomberg's doing okay yet. 11% remaining. We're close. Okay. So while that's going, let's go look at. I'll show you that we have a YouTube channel. So excellence in finance, which is the like overall program that we have, and we're not popular. We have 6 subscribers, but that's okay. Like I'm not like this isn't. I'm not a YouTuber, so but our videos are on there. So Butte County Library had us do a series of videos, so you'll see all those on there. And then we had like guest speakers. So Colby Nelson came, and he works on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. He's an alum, so he did a whole like he was walking around the floor of the exchange. It was, yeah. It was it was hard because he was like, filming himself with the phone in front of him, like walking around the whole time. It was like an hour of him doing this. And so it was just really, but it was fine. No, because he's super smart and he was able to show us like everything on the floor of the exchange. Yeah, it's really cool. And then anyway, so if you go to playlists, I set up the playlist so that the SMIF has its own set of playlists. And some of these might be unlisted or whatever, I'm not sure. But you can see all those on there for like the meetings we had last semester, and I'll post this one on there too. So you can go back and look. What is it? Oh, the video's playing. I thought that was something from Zoom. Is that video's playing? Okay, so that's available too. And then we can, like, if you all want to, when you give a stock pitch, we'll probably try to record that. I'll get better camera equipment in here too. So this should have been made into like one of those Zoom classrooms, like the other classrooms are, but it wasn't. I don't know why. So I'm gonna try to get that taken care of. Right now, I just have my own remote camera plugged into the computer. So that's what I'm using for now. Cool. So then a couple other things that might be useful for us to know about. So I'll show you Bloomberg once it's done updating, but TradingView is another good website that you can use for stock, for charting mostly. That's what they're good at. So if you're going to go look up like stocks and stuff, there's a whole bunch of them, but you can just type like APL, Apple, hit enter. And it's good for charting software to like look at like, okay, what technical indicators are we looking for? And we'll get more into detail about like what all that is, but let's say you want to like add some stuff on here, you can that's not good, but you can draw stuff on here and say, okay, well, it's going to bounce off this line. And then there's all kinds of different things you can have on here like that. It's not, don't do what I'm doing because this doesn't make any sense, but I'm just showing you that you can draw on a chart, right? And like say, okay, well, I think the stock's gonna go this way now because of what happened in the past. A lot of like academic finance people are gonna say that like that's garbage. Don't do any of that. That doesn't make any sense. But a lot of like traders do use it. So people who make money use it, and people who get paid to teach don't. So I don't know. You can take that however you want. I get paid to teach, so I can make fun of that. And then let's see. Yeah, that was the last thing I had before showing you things on Bloomberg, and I still got 7%. So, what do you all want to get out of like SMIF? Like, what are you trying to? What's your goals and interests here? Trading. Okay. Yeah. Technical indicators. Yeah, the colorful one over there is a Fibonacci retracement. It's really mathy, but you might have heard of like the golden ratio in like the math world. That's what that's using, and so a lot of things in nature tend to follow this like unique pattern that's called the Fibonacci series. It's actually a ratio of numbers in the Fibonacci series, but stocks sometimes follow that same pattern. So like the way that tree rings grow follows that pattern. The way that like shells are formed follows that pattern. All kinds of different stuff follows this weird pattern, and it's just found in nature all the time. And somebody sometimes said, hey, stock movements also follow that same pattern. Not always, but a lot of times it does. So you might be able to use that to say, like, this isn't very, like, I just randomly drew this on here, but what the idea is, if you draw it in a better way, the stocks might bounce off these lines, and you could use that as an indicator, like, hey, look, it bounced off this green line right here, so it's going to come back up. And so maybe I want to make sure I buy it when it's near that line because it's going to come back up, right? It's just an indicator of what you might buy or sell. The other thing on here is just like the same kind of idea of bouncing patterns, but I don't really know this ABC XYZ thing. I don't X ABCD pattern. I don't know that one at all. I just drew it on there to show you that it's possible. But some of these other ones on here, like Elliott waves, I do know about. And its stocks tend to follow a certain like growth and retraction pattern. And then Elliott waves is there's an A pattern and a 1, and then a B pattern and a 2, and like you say, okay, well, if it's within this like C3, then it's going to come down a little bit before it goes up a lot. So then I might want to buy it, right? That kind of thing. There's a bunch of stuff on here, and we'll go into some of those that are useful if you want, and I don't mind like learning more about all of them with you if you want. Yeah, that's a good one. What else? What other things? Like, is everybody here just to like pad the resume, or is there something else that I can add to this to make it more useful for you?
I know you mentioned we're not certain if we're going to have access to options or not yet, but are we just going to be typically opening long positions and stocks and ETFs? Or are we going to be doing like any other strategies like iron condors and
Oh no, that's a bunch. Yeah. So the right now, so I have a whole thing. It's a packet of like, here's our bylaws. And that was approved by the university. And so right now, the only options that we're allowed to trade based on our bylaws is that we can do covered calls. So we'd have to own the stock.
so we have to own the stock first.
Yeah. And they put that in there because like maybe we want to own a bunch of stocks for the long term, but we don't actually think they're going to do anything in the short term. So we can
Right.
come off it. So that was put in there. I actually didn't even ask for that. They put it in there in their first draft, and I just didn't say anything, and they let it go.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. But if we do well in the beginning, when they give us more money to manage, my expectation is like, okay, we can expand this quite a bit. There's a bunch of people on our board, our university board, that they're not related to the university, other than that they're like super rich alumni, right? That's what they do. Is they graduated, they're super rich, and they go back and sit on our board and like make decisions. And so they all made money in the finance industry, right? So they say, okay, well, I want students to be able to, like, one of them said, like, this should just be trial by fire for them. Like, don't restrict them at all, and then let them learn, right? The best way to learn is by failing and then figuring out how to adjust that. So they're like, that's their perspective. But then we have our dean and we have our VP of advancement and me a little bit saying, I don't want to lose everything right off the bat. So I get the idea, like, like let them do all kinds of cool stuff, and then we gotta find some way to manage that a little bit. So for right now, we're no margin, right? That's the rule too. So for sure, we can't like commit the university to a debt. That was one of the big things, right? So we say, okay, we're going to borrow a ton of money as this fund, and now the university is on the hook for it. We have lost like extra, right? And they have to pay it back. They don't want. So under no circumstances can our portfolio go negative, right? That's the idea. But other than that, right? So because we essentially a cash only account, like we can't do futures, right? Because we would have to have a margin account to have futures at all. But options, I think you can do a cash account with options. Yeah. And then stocks and bonds. Yes. So pretty much we'll be long only for a little while, and we can't short, I don't think, but we can buy inverse ETFs. So if we need to short something like the inverse Kramer fund, we can do that, right? Did we know about that one? Okay. There's an ETF created, like Jim Cramer's the guy on CNBC, and they created a fund that's the opposite of whatever he says, and it makes tons of money because Jim Cramer loses a bunch of money if you follow like everything he says. Yeah. He's the guy. If you've ever seen that clip from 2008 where he's like screaming, he's like, "They know nothing!" Like he's like freaking out about Citibank and all them. That's him. He's pretty famous in the finance world because he has like the TV show for So my Bloomberg thing went away, so I'm guessing that means it's done updating, so I can actually show this to you. Hopefully. So in Glen 106, I'm saying this mostly for the benefit of people on Zoom who watch this later, but in Glen 106, which is the room we're in right now, all of these computers have Bloomberg software installed on them. And so you can open that, maybe, I don't know. It'll let me know. Try again. I'm gonna open it like 3 times now. But this software allows you to look up anything in the finance world you can think of and more. They have any public information is available on Bloomberg, and lots of private information, surprisingly, is available on Bloomberg. I think it becomes public just for the fact that it becomes available on Bloomberg. But you can go find stuff that like you could look up a lot of things on Yahoo Finance. Sure, I can go look up a stock price and I can go find their financial information and stuff. And yeah, okay, but on Bloomberg, I can they have links to all kinds of things. So once you find a number, it shows you how they got that number, and then you can go drill down into their corporate filings and say it came from this page of here, and they link directly to it. It'll open up in a new window. You can export like a discounted cash flow model where someone else has already built it for you to say, here's what we expect their numbers to look like in the next 5 years in terms of their revenue and their assets, debts, and everything, and their cash flows. And if that was going to happen over the next 5 years, if this is an accurate model, then here's what their stock price should be. And then you can tweak that because you can open it in Excel. So you say, open this whole model in Excel, and then go tweak some of the numbers and say, well, I think the person who made this model is a little overconfident in their next year's revenue, so let's drop that down a little bit and see how that changes the stock price, right? And then you say, okay, well, then if their stock price should be worth $50 a share, and right now it's worth $30 a share, let's buy it because we can make $20, right? At 30, if we make 20 on 30, math here, 60% or something. Like that's a pretty good return. So not opening. I don't know why. I'm hesitant to do that. If it opens, I'll show it to you. If it doesn't, then you'll just have to trust me that it's really cool. But all this, like we can use that software. Chico State also pays to have access to Morningstar's premium subscription. So you have to open that through the library's website. But if you do, then that's more of like mutual funds and ETFs. So you can go look up like Morningstar's research there. And then oh, there it goes. Cool. I opened Task Manager and it scared it. Oh, no, okay, I'll open now. All right, cool. So Bloomberg Terminal is like mostly black and orange. When you first log in, you all will not have to do the same thing I have to do, but you'll all have this. You'll have to create an account if you don't have one. So create a new login is right there. And then I already have an account. And for me, because I'm like the administrator for the university's account, I have a fingerprint recognition. So I have to sign on with, I have to sign on using a fingerprint scanner, but you don't have to. And the fingerprint scanner is not good. No, really, come on. There we go. But you won't have to do that. You'll just sign on with your username and password, and then it's just done. Like it's just I have to do the fingerprint thing. And then when it opens, it'll open to like this. If it's your very first time signing in, it might have like lots of things on the screen because like you can use Bloomberg Instant Messenger and like you can message anybody who has a Bloomberg terminal. So actually, you create an account, right? Do you still have Bloomberg up on your screen? Okay, so what's your like login? Like your like username? Is it your regular ticket? The EL or LE? Yeah. I was hoping I could like look you up. You might not be in my contacts. Enter contact. Okay, start. All right, maybe I can't. I was hoping I could show you, but maybe I can't. But I could do, yeah, I'll exit that and I'll go to J Arbogast 7. I know we used to have a group chat for the whole SMIF, so I can go recreate that later. But that's one thing you could do. You could look up like people and go figure out who else has Bloomberg. So I can go. Oh, there's going to be like 7,000 hashes. So you're not on there. So that's why you didn't show up. So you're not in there yet. So maybe you're too new. It doesn't matter. Like finding people is really not like the reason you have work terminal. So let's say we want to go look up like Apple stock. I can type Apple and then I want the US version of Apple, not like an international one. And then I want to look up their equity, which is their stock. I could go look up like what's on here? Their corporate debt. I can go look up their bonds or whatever, but I'm gonna pull up their stock for equity. And then within that, there's like all kinds of different things I can look at, right? So I want to hit FA for financial analysis. So let's go do the financial analysis for Apple. It just defaults to key statistics, and then it shows, you know, their enterprise value, what the company's worth, what their total debt is, like some basics there. I can look at their income statement, their balance sheet, their cash flow statement, look at some of their key ratios. Segments is really interesting for me to look at, I think, because you can go say, where do they get all their money from in all these different areas? And then I might say, okay, well, iPod might be coming down. Let me scroll. It's actually not broken out very well for a lot of these. Let's try this. There we go. So for in 2021, here's how much I made from iPhones. Here's how much I made from iPad. I can split Mac out even further too. So they don't report it on that at that level though, but those are all the different areas that they make money from, right? And then if I wanted to figure out, okay, where did this number right here come from? Got the yellow one. So revenue comes from there, product revenue, product, and then I can say, okay, so 209. This is 297 billion because somewhere up here it'll say in millions. I don't know where. Say that somewhere. And then, okay, so how much do they make? Where did that number come from? I click that white square and it takes me to their SEC filing. They filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then once it's done loading, it'll snap to that number. So this is their 10K, which is their annual report, and then snap there and said, here, net sales and products was that number right there, right? So in millions. So this is 1,000 million. So it's $297 billion in products Apple had for the year ended September of 2021. Right, so okay, cool, I can get that number. That's fine if I wanted to look up specific numbers, but maybe I want to do XLTP, which is the Excel template library. So I can pull out a template for already built things. So the financial analysis template, I can open that. And it's pre-built for whatever stock I want to put in there. So I open this. It might take a minute. We'll see if it works. It'll open in Excel. All of these computers have Excel connected as an add-in, or sorry, has Bloomberg as an add-in on Excel, so that you can use any Bloomberg tools inside of Excel, just like you do a function like equals if then or equals index and match or whatever. You can do equals Bloomberg. It's not actually equals Bloomberg, it's something else, but you can use Bloomberg's tools to create your own functions using Bloomberg stuff. So you can say, find the current stock price for this using your own function. Find next year's expected revenue. There we go. So start to populate there. It's set up with whatever the heck company that is. I don't know. But let's go AAPL for Apple, and I'm gonna put US because I want the US one. You can get then it updates, and it takes a minute. It'll update everything. You got to go through each sheet, and then it'll update. And you'll get it all in there. But then you say, okay, cool. So I have all their financial stuff right here. I can go do some more math. Like it equals this number plus that number because I want to know for some reason what their short-term investments are for the last 2 years. I don't know why I did that, but you can go fill that in with, you can build your own stuff around here, right? It's gonna, every time I click on something, it's gonna update. It takes a minute. So I did a few different stock pitches last semester, and some of the other students did too, using some of these tools. This is just financial analysis, so it's really like just like a report of all of their money, which isn't super helpful. But another one on here, you can do a DCF model. So let's do XLTP DCF. See if it comes up. So 3-statement model and a discounted cash flow. So discounted cash flow says, based on all the earnings of this company, here's what we expect it to be worth on any particular day. And then you can start tweaking a little bit to say, okay, here's why I think we should buy or sell the stock because it's not worth whatever it is now. So lots of stuff. I know this is like a ton. So, if you're like, that's too much for me to remember, that's okay. We'll like work on it. And we'll learn a little bit, and we'll do some workshops and stuff. And then we can, so this lab's open all the time. You can come in here anytime. It might lock like on weekends, and it might lock at night. But other than that, like during regular school hours, like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. weekdays, you can come in for sure. If you're trying to come in here, that's not during regular times, like weekends or whatever. If it's locked, I might not be available. But tell me, if you ever come by and it's locked, tell me about it, and I'll see if I can get the people to unlock the door all the time. So yeah. Any questions? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but the one that I did in the classroom upstairs, that you mean? We did it here? It's probably on there. Yeah, I don't know which one it would be, but it's one of them. Yeah, I think because like it depends what room we were in. If we were in the classroom, then it was recorded really well. If we were in here, I think it wasn't, like it's hard to follow because the person has to stand next to the computer to hear it on the microphone, and then I don't think I had my camera like pointed anywhere, right? So like you can go watch it, and I don't know how helpful it is, but we can definitely do more like professionally recorded how to do a stock pitch thing for those. There's a really good YouTube channel, Corporate Finance Institute, and they have how to do all kinds of stock pitch type stuff. Like if I could just copy their YouTube channel to ours, that would be perfect. Right? They have everything on there, and they consistently put out new stuff. They put new stuff out like every week. It's like updated market analysis, all kinds. Yeah. So we'll meet. So I'm gonna have this be a regular meeting. So Fridays at noon, I'll be in here. Not everybody has to be in here every Friday at noon, but let's like start assigning some things to you. So if anybody has sat through this whole thing and you said, you know what, I actually don't want to be in this because it sucks or something, that's okay. I'm not offended. Like you can leave. But does anybody want to like just? I'm gonna take some notes here. Does anybody want to say like, hey, yeah, I want to start looking at this, and this is gonna be my role. The idea is we need people to start researching investments, right? So we can do it in terms. There's a couple ways we can do it. I think for me, I think the best way is to have some people take on certain sectors. Go find a stock within that sector that we should buy, and then we'll start looking at, okay, once we have a few different stock choices, start structuring a portfolio around this. That's the way that I would take it, unless somebody has a better idea. Okay. Does anybody have a preferred thing? Okay. So you want to go look at tech stocks right now and say you'll come back later, not necessarily 1 week from now, but just sometime later, and say, okay, here's some tech stocks that I think we should buy. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Zach, I saw you unmuted. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I can't hear what the people in the classroom are saying. So are we all, do we have to choose a specific sector, or are we just choosing which of the 4 categories?
You know, you don't have to do either one of those if you don't want to. I was just kind of opening up so we have somewhere to go for like later. So tech and energy have been taken, but you can say like, hey, I just want to research stocks and I don't necessarily know what sector yet. That's fine. Or you can,
Yeah, I want to do the equity one, and then I'm also interested in the coding one whenever that comes along.
yep. Cool. So I'll make sure. So for the people who want to do the coding, let me know too, because I'll have like a separate email that I'll send. That's just like, hey, coding people, let's meet on our own, so that everyone who's not into coding doesn't have to sit here and listen to us talk about Python. Okay. Anybody else have a preference or anything? This is Sai, right? Yeah. And I'm sorry, you said you want to do equity? Yeah. Yeah. Is that Ricardo talking? And if you go join the Discord, you can go post stuff too. And people can be in more than one, totally fine. I'm gonna be anything. Whatever you all need help with. Food. Nice. Okay. Anybody else want to like claim anything? You don't have to. Okay. Okay. That was Matt. Okay. That's everybody, right? You're going to do bot trader, right? Yeah. And then Frank, did you have anything? You don't have to. No, yeah, you just figure it out later. Cool. Okay. And then Isidro.
I'll do macro.
Awesome. Good, because nobody picked that. All right, cool. So next week, let's come back together and just start putting some ideas together. So you don't have to have anything set in stone or whatever, but next week, if we come back, I'll be here at noon, but we'll start saying like, okay, does anybody have something they want to look at? And then we'll start building around that, right? Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, so who else was on equity? Zach was. So maybe you and Zach get together and say, hey, you're the equity people. I mean, everybody, actually, that was not helpful because you didn't know what section. If you all want to like exchange numbers and stuff, we can have, or you can just message on the Discord and say, hey, let's meet up and like, let's go into this. Like, you don't have to meet at this time. This room's available, right? You can walk in here Tuesday afternoon, doesn't matter. And then get a crew together to say, okay, let's put this, pitch together, and then we can record the pitch, send it out to everybody who can't make it at that same time, and then we do a vote, a separate vote. We can just do email vote from everybody, and that's fine. Yeah, so we don't have to have everyone here to vote and watch it, but then we can set it up. There's just not a way for me to say, okay, everyone can make it at the same time, right? So we'll have to just work around schedules. Cool. Okay, I'm good with that. So next week we're gonna come back. If you like, over the course of the next week, think about what stocks you want to like investigate, and then we'll come back and you throw them out there, and we'll start talking about it. Some good like starting places would be Seeking Alpha is a really good website for people to put together their like investment ideas. I wouldn't necessarily take them as like always perfect, because it's just like almost like a blog that people can just post whatever they want. But you can read it and say, okay, do I agree with what they're saying? And then go do your own digging, right? Kind of like Wikipedia, right? You say can't cite Wikipedia on your essay, but you can go look at the links at the bottom and use that and like that, right? Same idea. Okay, and then so yeah, that's what we'll do next time, and I think that's probably good. Unless anybody has other questions. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm gonna hit end recording, but might hang out and keep talking.